Vratatvavanasu Parenanakam nihitam guhayam viprachate tatyatayo vishanti.
Next 6 weeks, my wife and myself appeared. My wife was pregnant with the second child. We got the results, sent it to him, we sent an appointment letter. And we came here. And, but with so many, I won't bore you with the details, too many coincidences.
It is called Mom, Dad, Meet Elaine. And the picture is the Hindu boy bringing home the Western girl. His name is Elaine. And the mother's in shock. The father's doing pretty well.
Exactly.
And
He's acting at least.
Trying to calm down the mother.
Acting, right.
So, yeah, it's a good picture. And the points made, some of them I think would fit into that class, are the Hindu in trying to be supportive of all religions, which is the Hindu perspective. Supporting of people of any legitimate religion. We're happy they're of that religion, and so forth. The Hindu in being supportive often thinks all religions are the same. How many of you have heard that? All religions are the same?
Yeah.
And that's, one of the defenses the Hindu boy says. You taught me all religions were the same, and so I married a non-Hindu. I mean, what difference does it make, right? And at the first Hindu Mandir Executive Conference I attended, and I gave a presentation on that, so that's a long time ago. And one of the gentlemen actually asked that question. And he said, I never anticipated in teaching my daughter that all religions were the same, that she would marry a non-Hindu. But all religions aren't the same.
Exactly.
That's not the Hindu idea. All religions are good from the Hindu point of view. All religions, when practiced well, are good, but they're quite different. And the other story that goes with it is Malaysian Hindu from Kerala married a Japanese girl who was living in Malaysia. And the question of religion never came up. And she seemed to fit in the Hindu activities just fine and so forth. They had 2 children. And I think the boy got up to around age 10. And she started going to what turned out to be her regular church, which is a fundamentalist Christian church. Started taking the children there. And the priest, when he found out she was married to a Hindu and the children were Hindu, started telling them all that her husband was worshiping the devil. And the kids were worshiping the devil. It's a real story. This went on for maybe a year or so, and created such disharmony in the marriage that they ended up divorcing. So clearly this minister of this particular branch of Christianity did not think all religions were the same. Right? So, many fundamentalist Christians, in their misunderstanding of Hinduism, really feel that way. The Hindus are worshipping something really evil or strange. This is terrible, and speak against it. But they don't understand. I can't blame them. They don't understand what Hinduism is. That point that you can conflict what the parents are doing or teaching relates to so many points. You could paralyze yourself. We can't talk about this because they may object this. You can become ineffectual. So there has to be a distinction between what you're telling them to do or implying they should do versus this is what Hindus do and why. So there can't be any push for them to do it. That's the parents' domain. But it's to say that many Hindus are vegetarian. There's more vegetarians in Hinduism than any other religion, which is my understanding. And why that's the case is important teaching. We have a children's story on that, book for 10 to 12-year-olds, which, the kids, I think their pet cat brought home a rat and ate it in front of them, and it made them realize what meat was. It's a cute story. And that the parents used to be vegetarians before they moved to the U.S. but stopped being, but grandparents still are. When grandparents come over, everybody has to be vegetarian. All the realities of the difficult situation are in that story. So, but it can also be taught as a story. It may not seem as direct. So,
although my approach is the same, talking about Hinduism and why we are and why do we do what we do. I had a very interesting question from one of the kids, and he said, how does the nutritional balance of meal play into this, So I talked about the different grains and everything, but he was very persistent on, he kind of went on and on about, meat has these proteins, this one has this protein, and he had a lot of knowledge about that. So I was impressed with that, not that I was kind of extremely impressed with the knowledge that he had on different nutritional facts on each of the food categories,
Yes.
But,
well, there are lots of writings on it that show, you have protein with, like you have dal and rice together, makes a complete protein, and is sufficient. I haven't read the book or asked doctors about the book, but my understanding is Dr. Spa. Is that it? Nutrition, child nutrition person?
No,
Spa
not
behavior.
Dr. Spa. He's the behavior
how to raise a
person.
child, I think.
But there is a book written for how to convince a person to be vegetarian and attend the school to teach it.
Well, there are books that you could acquire and find one as a reference. Just one's enough to have as a reference from a nutritionist expert.